What's up, yo? Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. 85th Train Live, 12 o'clock every Eastern time. Here we are today. We're talking about how to build specific muscles faster. But first,
update. All right, what updates do we have for everyone, James?
If you saw a community post, I maintained. Unfortunately, I'm going to drop my calories again.
Man.
Down to 2,100 calories this week and keep bleeding out.
So you were at 2,300 for 2 weeks in a row? 3 weeks in a row. All right, so it's definitely confirmed then.
I'm sorry, it was 2 weeks. I lost the first week and then maintained and then confirmed to maintain. It was 3 weeks, yeah.
Well, that's a bummer, but hey, you gotta keep adjusting if you want to keep leaning out. Like you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. So makes sense. I did good this week. I lost 2.8 pounds. Ooh. Yeah, it's starting to seem like a little trend there. I noticed like on 1 week I have an aggressive weight loss and then the next week is like less than a pound. So we'll see if that actually holds true for this upcoming week. If it does, then yeah, I should lose less than a pound this week. So we'll see. But all in all, I would say I'm still on track for competing in August. So we're doing well so far.
Outstanding.
Yeah. Any other updates? Our athletes are 2 weeks out from the OCB Conquer in Baltimore. Super excited for them. We got a few returning athletes and then one newbie. So I'm really excited for her to get out there and experience all of it for the first time.
Yeah, they all look great.
They do. They really have. My one client, she's come a long way since her first show in August. She's a lot more muscular and leaner. So I'm really proud of her to have made that progress in that short amount of time. So what else you got for everyone? Yeah.
The wheel of time just keeps grinding on, baby. Here we go. We're busy as all heck. We're going to stay busy as all heck. Almost everybody's busy, so I'm not going to hang up on that, but it just keeps rolling on. For sure, for sure. Well, I appreciate everyone tuning in today. If you are new, welcome to 88 Fitness Training Live. We really appreciate each and every one of you, and we love all of the engagement throughout the week, whether it's, in the community post or on our other social media platforms. So please continue to reach out, and we always appreciate super thanks. It helps us keep producing great content for you guys. So yeah. Today, we are going to deep dive into targeted growth, you guys. How do you actually get those stubborn muscles to finally grow or catch up? And so, yeah, you can expect us to cover things like choosing better exercises today, some advanced techniques to really help you get that targeted growth. And then we'll even go through some like mini case studies for you where we'll talk about specific muscle groups. What's up, Aileen? Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in, baby. Yeah, if you're familiar with Mike Mentor's 7 principles, it's principle of specificity is what we're talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it ties really well to the content that you guys saw this previous week and for the upcoming week. James had some videos really specific on pec minor, pec major. I hit you guys with some, top 3 exercises when you're short on time for specific body parts. So you can expect more of that type of content this past week. And if you missed this week's, definitely go back and take a look at that. So yeah, let's talk about kind of choosing exercises based on anatomy. I think that's a good place to start.
Very good place.
Yeah. So, not every exercise hits your muscle fibers exactly the same way. So with that being said, exercise selection can actually make or break your results. And, if you're not really thinking about that, then, you're just tossing random exercises at it, hoping that it's going to fix something.
Yeah. Aileen's got chest tomorrow, and he's going to try the workout. Outstanding, my man. It's a good workout. I did it myself. It's a fantastic workout.
Yeah, what I really like what James did is he first taught you guys about pec major and what exercises were for that. And then he taught you pec minor. And then he did a third video that actually said, okay, if you want to take those principles and put them into a workout, how do you actually do that? And so that third video is the complete workout for chest.
Yeah, we actually supersetted chest major with chest minor every exercise. So.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, going back to muscle structure, if you think about fiber orientation, muscle fibers usually run vertical, horizontal, or they can be like angular, you know, and they all have some type of origin point, an insertion point to them, and there's a range of motion and resistance curves depending on kind of where you're hitting that fiber at.
Sure. Angel's on. Good morning, Angel. Welcome back. Aileen said it's like 4 to 5 supersets. You are correct, sir.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Great workout.
Yeah, if you guys have been tracking 88 for a while, you know we love our supersets. So any workout we build probably has some supersets in it. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about chest, you know, since we're talking about those videos. You know, I thought it was interesting that James pointed out the differences between pec major and minor. Do you want to talk about that and fiber orientation?
Yeah, so your pec major is horizontal, like the fan muscles you see coming across your chest. When you're lean, you can see the lines that go this way. That's your pec major. Your pec minor is actually underneath your pec major, and it runs up and down right here on the edge of your chest, just like so. So your pec minor is going vertical, while your pec major is going horizontal. So you got 2 different direction muscle fibers, so you got to hit them 2 different ways.
Yeah, give us some examples, not to be any spoiler. So if you want, if you don't want a spoiler for this week's video, you know, just put it on mute or something.
A great example for chest minor would be dips, because you're working that chest here, and it's vertically as the exercise goes along with the fiber cuts, right? And then you got horizontal on the bench press, where you're going across the muscle and then pressing it up. Boom. That's 2 different muscle ways to hit the pec minor, pec major.
Absolutely. You know, the pec can also be kind of split up into like regions for training too, like
upper, mid, lower.
Upper, mid, and lower, which we have a lot of content too if you look through our chest library on which exercises target. But for instance, you know, if you were trying to work upper pecs, you could, you know, target those high to low flies, and that'll help a lot. Or if you want lower pec, you could do like a decline chest press or something like that.
Right, Angel said you guys are looking great. Thanks, Angel. Always good to hear that one, man. Aileen says about low to high cable fly.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yep, hit your upper chest.
Yeah. So other examples would be like biceps, you know. Well, the fibers kind of run in the same direction, but you do have a long head and you have a short head. So like, you know, long head, you're really talking like bicep peak. So like this height to the bicep, where a short head gives you more of that like girth to it. So depending on if you're lagging on one and you're kind of picking exercises that are focusing on the bicep peak, but not, you know, the short head or something, you're gonna, you know, not quite get the results that you're looking for.
Native Grit, what's up, Native Grit? Welcome back, baby. Glad you could make it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I'm training biceps and I'm trying to target the long head, you know, I try to think about like, hey, what positions can I get into that really stretch my biceps? So like when you're thinking long head, you should definitely be thinking stretched. So great ones, you know, like an incline dumbbell curl. Whereas when I'm thinking kind of short head, I start thinking peak contraction. Like what exercise can I do where I could really focus on that peak contraction? So a preacher curl, for instance, would be a really great one for that. And then of course it goes on and on and on, like glutes, same thing, you know, there's different region, upper, the gluteus maximus, you know, the lower parts where that ties in. So depending on what you're doing.
And Camille's getting a little deeper than I thought we were going to get. So I thought, you know, we're doing biceps, so pick bicep exercise specifically. You know, you got knuckleheads in the Army all the time. They don't want nothing but big arms, so all they train is arms. Guess what? They got big arms.
But nothing else.
No shoulders, no chest, no back, no legs. But they go in there and train arms like crazy because they want big arms. What's his name? C.T. Fletcher. If you remember C.T. Fletcher, there was an interview with him. I'm going in doing arms every day because I want big arms. I don't care what you say. I'm going in training arms every day. And C.T. Fletcher got huge, yo.
Yeah. And we can talk about that. We're actually transitioning to that kind of strategy next. But one last thing just on fiber orientation, use exercises that align the resistance with the direction of the fibers. So that does take a little bit of, hey, you need to know a little bit about anatomy. And again, this video today is for all lifters, but specifically for those intermediate to advanced, because that's when trying to get the gains starts to really become challenging. And that's when you start to notice lagging body parts. So if you're at that point, you definitely want to, open a book, Google, whatever, and learn a little bit about the anatomy.
Real Deal Prime's getting ready to head to the gym shortly.
Yeah.
Outstanding. What a great name to start with. And then get some, baby. Good deal.
For sure, for sure. All right. So, the other thing about trying to grow and be specific about it, there's different techniques that you can try to get those lagging body parts up. One is higher frequency training, right? James is saying the guys that want big arms, they go into the gym and they're always training arms. What do you know? They got big arms.
Hey.
So there is something to be said there. Depending on the muscle group, I think you could possibly hit them twice a week instead of just once. But that's a fine line. And I can speak that from experience.
Yep. So can I. Back a couple years ago, I wanted to bring my legs up, started training legs twice a week. No, never recovered, and knees started hurting. So I don't know, maybe 3 weeks in, I was like, I can't do this. If you shortchange your recovery, you're not making gains. And if you shortchange your stimulus, your intensity, whatever you want to call it, your trauma, you're not making gains. So, stimulus, recovery, don't shortchange either one of those.
Yeah. Like another example, I'm always trying to bring up my delts. So I try to do shoulders 3 times a week. I'm like listening to all the mountain dogs. He's like, you're going to break. And yeah, of course, no, tweaked my shoulder after a week. I'm like, this is not going to happen here. But, certainly it depends. I feel like biceps, triceps, they recover very fast because you're using your arms all the time. So you probably could increase the training frequency on those and be okay. Yeah. I think it's individualized.
It is. And we're saying twice a week. It doesn't have to be twice a week. It can be twice your cycle. My cycle is 8 to 10 days. So it's more than a week.
It's floating through the week.
Correct. It's more than a week before I rotate cycles. So depending on your cycle, again, you can get it in twice. And when she said shoulders 3 times a week, I said, sounds like an injury. You said shoulders twice a week, I might have said, okay. Yeah. But 3 times a week, especially in 1 week. You're not talking about a cycle of 10-day cycle. You're talking about 1 week. 7 days, 3 times shoulders. No, man. You're going to shortchange the stimulus or the recovery. You're not going to be able to do it 3 times a week.
Yeah. So that's a good point. If you are going to try to increase the training frequency for that body part, just make sure you're not decreasing the intensity because you're too sore to go out and still get those greater sets, right? That's